I'm going to float a dangerous idea to you. I'm going to float maybe a controversial idea to you. I'm going to float what I believe makes football or soccer or gaucho, whatever you want to call it. What I believe makes the sport with the ball special. Right. And it's something that it's maybe going to be a dangerous stance for me to take, but I'm excited to take it because I feel like if I can nail this landing, then I might be able to, consider diving in the Olympics. I can stick the triple tuck half twist or whatever the hell they're doing off that board. Anyways, the diving board's too high and I'm afraid to jump off it, so I do this instead. Sunil Chhetri is retiring. You might and probably do know that name if you have been following the sport long enough. And this video is an homage to what Sunil Chhetri has accomplished as a player. In case you did not know, Sunil Chhetri is one of the most decorated international players of all time. I know because I just had to scroll the entirety of his Wikipedia, get back to how many appearances he's had. Over the course of 19 years, he's played 151 times for the Indian national team. He has scored 94 international goals for a side that particularly early on in his career with India back in 2005 that was basically forgotten about. He toiled in darkness and anonymity for a long time and has carried the torch for a nation of over 1 billion people for a very long time as this talismanic figure that almost nobody else can match. I mean, I realize India really cares about cricket and soccer and football is approached the same way that the United States maybe approached it 40 years ago, where they know they're bad at it, they know they don't invest a lot in it, but they still care. And there are instances throughout Sunil Chetri's career that demonstrate the type of reach and the type of name recognition and the type of association that he has with India in the first place. And the fact that his career is ending is sad. It ended with a 0-0 draw against Kuwait in World Cup qualifying today, which is a pretty good result for India. Keeps them alive to get to the last round of Asian World Cup qualifying going into the final day, which I believe will happen in a couple of days. Probably going to end up making a video about that at some point. But the point that I want to make doesn't have to do with Sunil Chetri's accomplishments over his career. I mean, they're well documented. Like he nearly moved to Europe a couple of times, not at a super high level. Right, he was going to move to Leeds when they were in League One. He was getting scouted by Celtic. He apparently, allegedly, according to the Hindustan Times, which is a news organization whose name I never grow tired of saying, he agreed to a deal with QPR that apparently fell through because of his work permit. This is a problem that other Indian players have run into because the Indian national team is usually ranked very lowly. It's hard to get work permits out of India, and India also has one of those policies where, if you're holding the Indian passport, you can't play for any other nation. So let's say you're of Indian descent and you grow up in England, well, you would have to disown your UK passport. I know I just mixed up England and British, but you know what I mean. You would have to disown your UK passport in order to play for India. So dual nats they don't really have a home in the Indian national team. It's kind of a separate point. I think that's stupid, obviously, but to each their own. But that makes things harder for players like Sunil Chhetri, and it makes things harder for dual national players because, it's a pretty big commitment to give up a passport to a country to play for a national team for a few years. I mean, I realize it's also a giant deal, but you can't blame people for struggling with that decision. I'm getting distracted in different conversations because what I wanted to talk about is how special somebody like Sunil Chhetri is, right? Because this is somebody that never made it in the sense that we would discuss, normally making it. Somebody from the United States, if you never get out of the MLS, I would say that you and a lot of other people say, well, you didn't really make it. Right, playing a long, fruitful career in MLS or in the Indian Super League, that's healthy. You make a lot of money, you have a very good life, you're a professional athlete, that's great. But if you were going to carry the flag, carry the banner, make good on your promise, like Christian Pulisic doesn't exist if he's playing for the New England Revolution. He just doesn't. He doesn't get to the level that he's at. He isn't regarded in the same fashion. He isn't able to compete against the best players in the world in the same way. And Sunil Chhetri never got that chance. Sunil Chhetri, it is very, very clear, was good enough to get that chance and deserved to have that chance, and he didn't get it, and in spite of that, managed to carve out a legendary career for himself. He did. He managed to carve out a legendary career for himself. He played all over the Indian Super League, up and down it, at Bengaluru a couple of separate times. He scored 77 goals for Bengaluru in the Indian Super League. Yeah, all over the place. And now at the age of 39, the 5'7" forward is leaving. But why am I saying that he did something that I think nobody else could accomplish? I'm sure there's somebody else on the planet that might have been capable of it. But it is one thing to be a Lionel Messi. It is one thing to be a Cristiano Ronaldo. It's one thing to even be a Christian Pulisic, right? Where you grow up in a country that is supporting and encouraging what you're trying to accomplish. In Messi's case, or in Ronaldo's case, worshiping what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, literally worshiping. If you succeed at the task that you are attempting to accomplish, if you are able to rise to that level, there is an obsession and a reverence reserved often for deities only, or like giant political figures. I can't tell you the name of one president of Argentina. I could probably name their entire national team. You know what I mean? Or the same with Brazil, almost. I feel like I know maybe one or two political people there. But the point being, there is a real, there's a carrot. You know, there is a reward for that kind of pursuit. I swear I'm going somewhere with this. Sunil Chhetri did this for the love of the game. He did it for the love of the game. If you think about where India was in 1984 as a national team, or in the 1990s when Sunil Chhetri is growing up, the answer is nowhere. The answer is under 50 feet of shit. That's where the Indian national team was. Having the sort of dream to be a famous footballer in India is akin to growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, and dreaming of being a famous cricket player. It doesn't happen. It does not, it doesn't happen. There was no vehicle for it to happen. The Indian FA, I've done one research video on India before about how it struggled to develop its national team. It's very sectarian, very hard to get involved with, right? There's not exactly a wide net developing talent. It's very regional, and most of the country doesn't care, and even more of the country didn't care back then. I mean, it's the type of ambition required to be born in the 1930s or whatever and say, I'm going to go to the moon. Right? And look, Lionel Messi, in my opinion, is the best player that's ever laced him up. Cristiano Ronaldo's in the top 5. Argue with me all day. But the point is, it's a subjective conversation. Everybody's got their own opinion about it. So I'm not entering this conversation to attempt to slate those people and their ability and their desire and what they're capable of. But I do not know that if you took Cristiano Ronaldo and if you took Lionel Messi and you had them born in Secunderabad in India, what is apparently present-day Telangana, that they would be capable of what Sunil Chhetri did. I can't even begin to imagine the sort of internal motivation that you need in order to accomplish what Sunil Chhetri has accomplished. This is somebody born into the opportunity to do nothing, right, with the sport that he decided to play, and he made it. He built the road, and then he ran down it. Right? And he is now, as funny as this sounds, because most people don't care and most people aren't paying attention, but I do care and I am paying attention. He has brought India a very long way. In 2019, India showed up at the Asian Cup and won a game. That's not happened. Ever. India showed up at the Asian Cup and won a game. Now, the only reason I feel comfortable saying this is that team was there and that team was capable of winning that game was Sunil Chhetri. I mean, this guy has willed his way into interest and infrastructure. He has played nonstop for 19 years for the Indian national team, toiling in obscurity from the rest of the world, seemingly unable to find the opportunity to play at the level that he very clearly deserves, whether it be work permits or a homesickness or a feeling that he was just some sort of circus act because he was this nearly memeable player, like the one player everybody knew from India that it would pop up on the FIFA video game and maybe you wanted to sign him in League 2, even though it wasn't possible in real life because you could do it on FIFA. He was unique. He was completely unique. He survived and thrived and forged a legendary career in entirely unique circumstances. And he has done something that very few people, I think, can accomplish in world history. He has single-handedly left his national team, his nation, his federation in a much better spot than when he got there. In very large part because of what he was able to accomplish and his consistency and his ability. And I'm not just talking about him showing up to play so consistently. He was the best player on the team. For the vast majority of those 19 years, Sunil Chhetri was the only reason India was winning a lot of those games. Reading his Wikipedia page sounds like you're reading the tale of some sort of ancient Greek hero, especially in the international section. It starts early. Chhetri's first international tournament, the 2007 Nehru Cup. In the opening game, India defeated Cambodia 6-0 with Chhetri scoring 2 goals. He scored a goal in their defeat to Syria and another goal in their win against Kyrgyzstan. And then a decade later, on October 11th, 2017, Chhetri scores and assists in a 4-1 home win against Macau in Asian Cup qualifiers, which actually sent them to the Asian Cup. He captained the team to a 13-match unbeaten run before finally losing to Kyrgyzstan. But not only did they qualify for the group, they qualified top of their group. In 2018, he scores a hat trick and a win over Taiwan. Now, these are just spot instances, spot occasions of Sunil Chhetri being brilliant in a way that he was so often. But what strikes me so much about that moment is after the match, Chhetri was disappointed with the poor turnout, and he uploaded a video on Twitter requesting people to come to the Mumbai football arena to support the team. His video went viral and garnered widespread support from fans, celebrities, and legendary cricketers. The stadium was packed with exuberant crowds for the rest of the matches. That's an impact that goes beyond the game as well, right? There are two things that a player can accomplish on the field. They can be great between the lines, and they can be great outside of them. Sunil Chhetri, over the course of his career, was great in both of those locations. I realize that, if you're reading this and you go, well, he's playing Kyrgyzstan and Taiwan and whatever, that, he's playing local YMCA teams. If it's so easy, a lot more people would do it. If it's so easy, Bangladesh and Pakistan and Afghanistan and Sri Lanka and Cambodia and Laos, Timor-Leste, Indonesia, they would have a Sunil Chhetri too. But every single one of those countries would give their left arm and their right leg to have somebody like this in their federation, to have somebody that could carry the flag for 19 years and be able to accomplish this and put their national team on the map. And he got an appropriate send-off, a post-match guard of honor, and he was very emotional as it went down. I'll just let it play for you.
Wearing number 11 and the captain's armband. And that figure smiles a toothy smile with the ball at his feet. Hands folded in gratitude, face stern before a penalty. A country on his shoulders, waving goodbye to a part of himself. And in this moment, he has now said goodbye.
You can tell how emotional he was, how much all of this meant to him. And look, I've never met Sunil Chhetri. Maybe he likes to kick puppies and throw rocks at strangers, I don't know. But as a footballer, inside of the lines and outside of the lines, he's fantastic. I will always think he's fantastic. And almost more importantly, he is a unique symbol of how you can be great in this game in more than one way. This guy basically never played outside of the Indian Super League, and yet he's done more for the game than many, many, many people that did play in much more important moments in bigger leagues. He found his own path, and Sunil Chhetri, my man, even though it's sad that you're leaving, enjoy the next phase of your life, dude. You're 39, and congrats on an actually unbelievable career, a memorable career, and being one of the greatest international players of all time, bar none. I just feel sad that he didn't get to take India to a World Cup. So I think that's coming in the next 20 years. They're not so far away right now.